everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Pattison Report podcast. I'm Brandon. That's Ryan. And doing a double episode this week because, it called for it. So, Monday we got the Band-Aid off about the wild card round exit. And, the rest of the league's moving on. We have to instead of the Eagles. So, in the East alone, we got, looks like John Harbaugh headed to the Giants, which, I don't think, I've seen some crazy takes about how, the Giants are now, a competitor in the East, this, that, and the other thing. I think they're going to be better. I don't think they were a head coach away from being a problem for the Eagles just yet. That might be a little bit premature if you ask me.
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't expect that kind of money though. I mean, he asked for it. I didn't know he was going to get it. I saw the 100 mil, the notification drop in my phone. I'm like, there's no way.
5 years, 100.
And he's just going to hire his old staff. He's bringing everybody.
Well, yeah, so that's a good segue into what we're talking about first. And I want to get your opinion on it. I know last week we disagreed a little bit on this guy in particular, but it seems as though Harbaugh is bringing the whole staff over. One of the reasons that he was let go from Baltimore was that in that meeting, he didn't feel like there was a need for staff changes. Clearly, Steve Bisciotti did, and Harbaugh was out. So he's going to New York, and he has expressed an interest in bringing Todd Monken along to run the offense. And that was somebody you had listed as a potential Eagles OC candidate. So, I mean, are you a little bit surprised that, he's bringing the two guys that kind of got him fired from Baltimore?
No, not at all. I mean, it's a different scenario over there than it is in Baltimore. Baltimore, you have Lamar Jackson. You have so many years to maximize the window of an MVP winning quarterback, and Lamar does so many things. And the coaching staff, couldn't get it right. The Giants need stability, and John Harbaugh and Todd Monken and all those guys will bring stability. So I'm okay with it. I mean, different franchise goals for different franchises. They don't, Dart's still working his way up, but I'm a little bummed that we didn't get Todd Monken, but I'm encouraged by the hires that we have heard, or the interviews that we have heard, and the interest in OCs that we have. So I'm a big fan of that.
I want to, this is just, to kind of get what your perspective is, because I find it a little bit interesting. There's three teams we're kind of talking about in this scenario here. It's the Giants, who I agree with you, need experience, stability, veteran leadership. So you bring guys like Todd Monken over who might not have been able to win in the highly talented win now environment that was Baltimore. Do you see where I'm going with this? Because that same environment exists here in Philadelphia. It's an ultra talented team with some big personalities and a city who expects to win right away.
Yeah, I think that's more of a Harbaugh thing than it is a Todd Monken thing.
Okay.
I don't know who was directly responsible for not having Derrick Henry in against the Patriots. I got to go back and look at that. I think it was Harbaugh. But man, oh man, Tom Monken would have been okay, because what I'm looking for, I think you agree, is a veteran voice that Sirianni can't quiet.
Yes. Have you seen the reports where apparently in these interviews that we've conducted so far, it's been made, from what I can tell, abundantly clear that whoever comes to run the offense will have total autonomy over the offense.
That's exciting.
And one quote went as far as to say, without interference from Nick Sirianni. I am obviously more of a Nick guy than you are, although it is waning by the day. That report was kind of damning because prior, the organization had always stood behind Nick, and the fan base was kind of connecting the dots between, great coordinators, great Nick, bad coordinators, bad Nick. Now it seems as though Lori and Howie might be self-aware that they're in these interviews saying, look, we know about Nick. He won't bother you. You can run the offense that you want. if that's the case and that's how they view their head coach, then that's a little bit different.
Look, those exit meetings went exactly as we predicted. We said, hey, if Nick Sirianni doesn't butt out of the way with his friend, he's going to get fired too. And I think that was exactly what happened. They would have fired Nick if he would have stood by Kevin Patullo, which obviously happened. He said, see you later. So I think Howie and Lurie went in there to that exit meeting and were just harsh because the team underperformed. You see that clip from Jalen from week 1 when he was talking to Patullo. It's so obvious. I don't know how nobody saw it on the staff. Maybe they did. They had to keep their mouth shut. I don't know.
I think you hit the nail on the head. The Eagles have this thing. I mean, other than the Sean Desai debacle, which maybe is why they'll never do it again, we don't make midseason changes. They do not do it as a franchise. So I think in this case, you're right. I think Jalen saw it. I would like to think Nick saw it. I'm certain that more veteran voices saw it. Like Vic Fangio looked across the aisle and this guy has no idea what he's doing. I'm sure something
in the press box, the Zins.
Yeah, so I'm sure all of those guys saw Kevin Patullo by the time they broke camp and went, this isn't the guy, and just had to grit and bear it for a full season, which is a shame because it was a wasted season with a team with incredible amounts of talent. But I think you're absolutely right. I think that meeting was not, hey, look, Nick, you won a Super Bowl this year. Nah, not the best, but we'll bounce back. I think Jeff and Howie were very honest about what they thought happened this season. And it's evident in the fact that Nick's pretty much been handcuffed to not run the defense or the offense.
Yeah, hiring an offensive-minded guy who I haven't heard, we talked about this not last week, just Tuesday, hiring an offensive guy that I've never seen talk scheme or X's and O's. And you look at every video of Mike McDaniel from the Dolphins, he's talking X's and O's basically all the time. Like these offensive minds, McVay, Shanahan. I know getting one of those guys is kind of like a reach, but man, It just stinks to, he's very CEO. We've talked about this as well. And
so here's NBC Sports Philadelphia put together a list of reasonable offensive candidates for the Eagles to consider this offseason. So I want to run through a couple of these, and we'll kind of gauge how excited we would be based on the hire.
Yeah.
Todd Monken's off the board, so forget about that one. This was written 2 days ago. But the next name, we don't have to litigate this one too much. I think we'd both be pretty stoked if they could swing it, was Mike McDaniel. He's got significant head coaching interest, so I think it might be a tough land, but that would be the dream scenario. That would be the equivalent of the Giants getting Harbaugh to lead the franchise if the Eagles can somehow find a way to convince Mike McDaniel that being an OC is a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of offers out there. I think Tampa's interviewing him today. Detroit already interviewed him.
Baltimore did, I think, today too, or maybe yesterday.
But the report that came out about him, he said he might take a really great OC job for 1 year and then parlay it into a head coaching job because, well, let's be honest, the openings out there, they aren't as solid as they were last year. Like Ben Johnson.
No, there's not a New England out there. That was a home run.
There's not a New England. There's not a Chicago. There's not a Jacksonville.
Atlanta. I like Atlanta. I think that's a great place. I know the quarterback's tough. The flip side is, you have Tennessee, who's got a good GM, but a talented quarterback who hasn't proven anything. I mean, those two are probably the best 2 jobs left, I would think.
Yeah, but I'd take Jacksonville, New England, and Chicago over both of them.
No, for sure, but they're not available.
I know. So that's why I'm saying that Mike McDaniel could wait an offseason and sign somewhere as an offensive coordinator. That's the report that I read anyway.
Yeah, no, I read the same thing where, I mean, I don't think he's going to take just any job, because I think he knows he has one more shot at it as the head coach before he's relegated to be a coordinator forever. But there are still pretty enticing jobs available. I mean, we've skipped right over Baltimore and Pittsburgh. I mean, Mike McDaniel could do some pretty cool things with the Lamar under center.
Yeah, Baltimore, Yes. Pittsburgh, absolutely not.
No. Well, again, same thing, the quarterback or an
You-
offense or an
no,
offensive
anything.
coordinator because Art Smith is probably going to leave, which might be for the best. Who knows?
I
Uh,
I can't believe he's getting offensive. I don't want the Eagles to interview him. I'll be honest about that.
I haven't seen him on the list so far. The third one, will I think we can skip over. You let me know if I'm wrong. I don't think there's a chance in hell Kevin Stefanski takes an OC job. I think he'll be a head coach.
I think he's the Atlanta guy.
I can see that. Yeah. You could make the exact same case for him in both Baltimore and Pittsburgh, though. He's in the division already. He's familiar.
That'd be kind of weird, though. I think Pittsburgh is going to go outside the box with a young guy. I mean, they've had, 3 head coaches in 50 years?
Yeah.
50, 60 years. And they've all hired within their 30s.
Yeah.
So they're going to go one of these young offensive or defensive minds.
Yeah. So either way, we're not going to get Stefanski. That'd be a pipe dream, but he's going to take a head coaching gig somewhere. Now, the next two would kind of be, I would call them, if Mike McDaniel's alone in A tier, which I kind of, from skipping ahead on this, I think for me is the case. These next two guys, I think, are your B tier, where you're pretty stoked about it, but they're not Mike McDaniel. I think Cliff Kingsbury would do a good job. He's pretty imaginative on offense. When he had Jaden Daniels healthy, I mean, they were a high-flying offense. Really, only Vic ever slowed him down. I don't pin this year against him. I mean, take any OC across the league. If you lose your starting quarterback and your wide receiver 1 for 3/4 of the season, what really do you want to get accomplished?
Yeah, the GM. That was a GM disaster class.
Yeah. I'd be down with Cliff Kingsbury in Philly. I think the weapons are there for him. I think he has, one of the great GMs in football if he has needs. And I think he could do it for probably 2 seasons. I don't think he'd be a one and done. So I'd kind of be on board.
Mm-hmm. I agree. B tier higher. That's the perfect spot to put him. You put him in the right spot.
So if he's a B, then I would probably say – and around the B- territory would be Brian Dable. We saw those Bills teams. It's there as an OC. The pressure of running the entire team, I think the New York market was too much for him. You could see him blowing up on the sidelines. The cracks were kind of there. But I think if you give him a very direct job to just run the offense, he's got more talent in Philly than he ever had. When he was with the Giants, similar to what he had up in Buffalo. I think he would do a nice job. And he's another guy who's fresh off of a head coaching failure. So he's another one who you could probably get 2 good OC seasons out of.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a B-. Just how much would he run Jalen Hurts? He ran Jackson Dart a ton.
That's the thing.
They've worked together already at Alabama, so it's an obvious connection there. I don't know.
He work with Smitty there too, then?
I believe so, yeah. So he has some familiarity with the offense. So I just worry about, like I said, how much he runs Jalen Hurts, but I also think that was a little bit of a GM disaster class. I mean, he pulled the most out of Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
And he pulled the most. He pulled a lot out of Jackson Dart when Malik Neighbors was hurt, and it was just Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson with the offense. So he's extracted the talent. And I mean, if you develop Josh Allen to an MVP from what he was in college, you got a job for life. So,
yeah, and he'll always be able to hang his hat on that, even if he never gets another head coaching gig. He's probably an OC, but he'll never not be a QB's coach anywhere. I mean, he'll always be able to say, "Well, I'm the reason Josh Allen's Josh Allen."
I helped Josh Allen develop because we don't have to talk much about that, but that Josh Allen college tape, oh boy.
Rawls could be with a rocket arm and a huge body, and Brian Dable saw that and said, "I can mold this," and did, and he's an MVP.
Work with this. So he's a job for life, but I agree, B-.
Yeah. The next guy, I admittedly don't know an awful lot about. I am a little bit hesitant because I think, like we said, I want an adult in the room. I want somebody who can speak up and speak over Nick Sirianni. So Nate Scheelhaase from the Rams, up and coming passing game coordinator, McVay disciple. the Rams offense has been great. He's gotten a lot out of, these mid-round receivers. I'm just not – he's only 35. It's his first OC gig. I don't think he's the guy to put Nick kind of in his place.
So, yeah, I totally agree. If we're talking like base offensive coordinator hire to call the plays and come in, I'd probably put him in A tier because you always want those swing for the fences, young, innovative play callers. But for the Eagles, it's definitely a C tier because Nick would probably speak over him. And so, in general, A higher. For the Eagles, I'm, like I said, C category.
Yeah, different situation, different head coach, probably a home run, but not for us.
Like if he's the head coach for the Steelers and they get someone and it works out,
that could be the swing you're talking about, maybe.
Yeah.
This one I hate. Actually, the rest of these I don't like very much, but this next one I absolutely despise because I don't see what he's done at his current location to warrant, another gig. But Mike Kafka, Giants offense after Dable was a disaster. Giants offense with he and Dable there, I don't think you can give Kafka hardly any of that credit. He had Dable calling the shots. I'm not real interested in, him in whatever he and Andy Reid did together because, again, you have one of the great play callers in football with Andy Reid.
Was there too at the time.
Who was?
Eric Bieniemy.
Exactly. So whenever he's had to call the plays and had to take, took over for Dable, it's been a mess. So I don't want Mike Kafka a little bit.
It shows you the NFL means not for long because what was it, 1-2 seasons ago? He was getting head coaching buzz.
Yeah.
Interviews. So,
but and fair or unfair to him, he was coaching a very injured Giant team. But I've seen what I needed to see. He's not going to rehab his career with my Eagles.
He needs to reshape his image somewhere.
Yeah. And then we got, to round out the list, we got back-to-back Stanford guys, which should pretty much give away the last two names. David Shaw, Stanford's head coach until 2022. Again, not overly interested. He interviewed for the OC position with the Bucs, so he's getting some other NFL buzz. But he's a longtime head coach. He's well respected in the college game. I don't think the Eagles are the place to cut your teeth. We just did this with someone who's never called plays in the NFL before. I'm not in a big hurry to do it again.
Yeah, I agree. There's one guy that if you take the swing on, you take the swing on Charlie Weiss Jr. If you go that route, you don't go David Shaw.
No, I mean, he's the passing game coordinator for the Lions. Congratulations. Everybody knows how huge of a hand Dan Campbell had in the play calling this year, which means that David Shaw really didn't. So I'm good with
that offense is kind of bumpy too.
Yeah, I mean, their passing offense was third in football, but you're right. There was some huge peaks and valleys.
It was very, very up and down. When they had to play a good defense, they didn't have answers. Well, in the past, they did have the answers.
And then the last one is, this is just one I think that NBC threw in here for clicks. Frank Reich, served in a interim role with Stanford this year, hence the Stanford connection. Everybody knows about 2017. Frank Reich needs no introduction in Philly. He was the OC when we won our first Super Bowl. Always have a place here. I can't see where that is also a healthy relationship between he and Nick. The fan base is going to remember, wanting Frank Reich to run the team. And, after Doug Peterson left, he's untouchable in Philadelphia, I think. And Nick has a tenuous relation. There's a lot of Ryans in Philadelphia who are ready to run Nick out of town. And having Frank on the bench isn't going to help. The same way Nick Foles could never back anyone up ever again. So I don't think his shadow is good for the situation either.
Yeah, and he also crashed and burned insanely hard in Indianapolis. What's the thing with Indianapolis hiring our OCs that succeed? I don't know, but
yeah, Shane Steichen, I guess, is TBD. I find it hard to hold this season against them once Daniel Jones goes down. But you're right;
it was going so well. The GM and Richardson. So I agree. We miss him.
Yeah, that's for sure. I would love to have Shane Steichen back, but those are what NBC lists as the most likely candidates. I think the list overall is pretty accurate, but there's a big gap. I mean, after Brian Dable, neither one of us were overly excited about anybody other than Nate out of LA, but that's not the situation for him.
So we have the same top threes, I would assume.
Yeah, it seems like we're both on board with Mike McDaniel. If you get him in the building, don't let him leave.
Tier one. Fire Sirianni.
Cliff Kingsbury and Brian Dable.
I'm really tempted. I did mention Charlie Weiss Jr. He worked, I believe, he was the OC this year. I know that situation's murky because he might be leaving LSU with Kiffin or not.
Yeah.
But I might put him up there. But like I said, he's young. He's in his 30s. So I'd probably go with the three that are solidified NFL play callers that have done it before.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, talent-wise, higher. I mean, he would be different scenario. He'd be great if our head coach was already an offensive guru who's an OC could learn under. Then it's a home run. I keep in my mind. I'm going back to those meetings where they're telling the OC that you're allowed to override your head coach. Charlie Weiss Jr., young guy for the college game, first time in the pros. He doesn't have that clout yet to override Nick.
Yeah, that's why you need someone with experience. And like we said, Stefanski's probably going to take a head coaching job, whether that be Atlanta or somewhere in the AFC North or maybe the Cardinals. I don't know what the Cardinals are doing. I couldn't tell you.
I forgot that job's even open.
I think it's Vance Joseph right now, which
I don't like. I wouldn't touch that job with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, it's pretty messy, but so that's kind of the pulse on the offensive coordinator situation. We thought about talking about players, but you had the right idea to talk about the coach because all the interviews are going on now. These jobs are going to lock up over the next week. We'll get some more news outside of the Harbaugh stuff. So,
yeah, the coaching carousel is the hot part in football. The only real, the other sport really where big names are starting to move, we have to pop over across the parking lot to the Diamond because we're so used to in this town being Phillies fans getting these names coming this way. It's been a while. I'm trying to think of the last guy, like the last real heartbreaker. We've been able to keep this nucleus together now since, I guess Gene Segura would probably be the last one that hurt.
I think Reese hurt more.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's Reese.
That was the big one.
Yeah, Reese was big. I forgot because his last year he didn't play for us, but you're right. It was
Reese. He sat out with the ACL.
Yeah. But this year, I would argue, and this one feels as big as Reese, possibly even bigger, definitely as big. Ranger Suarez to the Red Sox. Shout out to Ranger. He got an absolute bag. 5 years, $130 million for the kid that signed with the Phillies when he was just 16. And stayed out of the division, Philly to the very end. It was, the news was saying that the Mets were running hard at him. I knew Ranger would never be a Met. So he left not only the East, but he left the entire league altogether and hopped over to the AL. So it sucks to lose him. He was nails in the playoffs. He's been a Philly since he was 16. He's been a starter, a reliever, a closer, sometimes both in the same season. But we could never pay him that. It'd be malpractice for us to choke up those kind of numbers, and he deserves every penny. So, we'll miss you, but shout out to Mr. Rager getting the bag over in Boston.
Yeah, he's going to be missed. I mean, all the roles he played for this Philly squad, it was incredible. Obviously, you have to let some of these guys go. That Nola contract really hurts. It really does. I hope he bounces back, but, I'm going to miss Ranger. But if you ask me straight up, would I rather pay him or Luzardo? The answer is Luzardo. So,
yeah, and, when Luzardo became who he became as a Philly, the writing was even more on the wall than it ever was for Ranger. Coming into the year, you didn't think we had a shot to keep him, but we might have had to, because in this arms race that we're in, where we compare ourselves against LA, you need at least three. You need at least a three-headed monster. Two at the top isn't going to be enough, so you thought, you know what, maybe they got to pay Ranger to keep pace. Then Luzardo has a Cy Young first half, stumbles, but the stuff's electric. The velocity is +8 on Ranger. He makes a ton of starts. If there's a knock against Ranger, and I love him to pieces, I'm not looking for a knock against Ranger, but if there is one, he doesn't make an awful lot of starts. Now, he makes up for that by being a human Swiss Army knife. But if you're going to pay a guy 5 years, 130 as a frontline starter, I'm going to need him to pitch more than 160 innings, which he just generally doesn't do.
I mean, he's going to be the number 3 there, so.
He'd probably be there too, I would think.
Over Sonny Gray? I don't know. That go back and forth. They could be the one or the two. They'll probably pitch him third because Crochet's a lefty, but.
Yeah, he'll be third in the rotation,
but he might be the second best starter. You're right.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing with him, his value is always going to be he's a good starter. He's a really good starter. I mean, the ERA in the playoffs shows it. Where he makes his money is his versatility. I can't really think of another guy in the league who does what he does as well as he does at all three spots. I mean, we have guys like you have long men who can start. You have starters who have come out of the bullpen before. I can't think of another guy who's a frontline starter, an anchor in the bullpen, and has closed out a pennant game. Those guys just aren't out there other than Ranger.
It's unreal. He's been so clutch overall these years. Like you said, the versatility is where he made his money, and good for him. Like, it stinks, but like you said, we couldn't have paid him.
No, it would have been malpractice to pay him that much. Especially when, we're looking at trying to lock up Bichette, which Ranger might have done us a solid on because Boston were in a dead heat on Bichette, and they just dropped 130 on Ranger.
Yeah, Kyle Tucker will be the next domino to fall, and if he goes to the Mets, then Toronto might try to bring him back. But if Kyle Tucker goes to Toronto, like many predict, I think Bichette to Philly might be a lock. But I was looking at the Christopher Sanchez contract because I thought that was 27 when it ended. It's 28.
Oh, yeah. Chris should fire his agent.
It's actually 2030. I did not know that. I thought it was way sooner than that. There's 2 club options on that. The Phillies take that out. They're going to give him a raise. They're going to do right by him. I mean, going to have to.
They will eventually. I think they're going to get, if you're asking me, I think they're going to get 26 and 27 out of him. But before they get to those options, they're going to extend them. They're going to do an Eagle. They're going to wait till he's got a year left on the deal and extend him. I don't think they're going to let him go to arbitration.
Such a good contract, man. That's insane.
Dave saw him on a heater and said, "I'm going to bet that this sticks," and it did. Because remember, he had just started pitching well. It was his first time he put together a full season of being at that point probably a number 3 level guy, and we bet on him getting better than that. And Dave's had some misses, but Chris Sanchez, that deal was one of his shining moments.
Yeah. And speaking of people who the Phillies paid, Francisco Renteria out of the international signing pool.
$4 million, 17-year-old.
I mean, he's the number 3 prospect in the international pool this year. So I'm all about it. Infuse talent.
Not my money.
Not my money for sure. And, the Phillies usually don't go out and use that bonus pool money a lot. We don't see them sign in the high tier guys, so I'm happy with it. Of course, I haven't watched him play. I have to look more into it, but
yeah, I don't watch the internet. I don't scout that deeply either. I typically, even in our own system, when guys start making noise around AA, I'll check in. But I'm not going down to single A to watch the Blue Claws. I got shit to do, man. I'm sorry.
got an adult around these parts, but could be a good signing. You never know. I mean, like you said, Ranger signed with us when he was 16, and look what happened. What do you think, man? Yeah. Sadly, he couldn't get a title with us, but
he got us damn close, man. He had that two pitch save in the CS, I think, in 22. That set the stage for Bedlam at the Bank. So when you look back at all, I've been watching all the clips of Ranger. I mean, just great guy on the field, amazing off the field. I mean, the clip of him singing, "All I Need Is Your Love," hysterical. Him popping out from under tables and scaring reporters is a classic. Like, he was just an all-time dude to have around. So if there's a way to end this episode, it's a tribute to Mr. Ranger. So shout out to Ranger. Best of luck in Boston. You guys take care of him up there. All right, we'll take him back in a heartbeat. But go be great in Boston. In the interim, until next week, I'm Brandon. That's Ryan. This is the Passing Report. We'll see you later. Oh,